We're being joined by Mr. PDT Achary, who is a former Secretary of the Lok Sabha and is considered widely to be an expert when it comes to parliamentary procedure. Sir, now that this bill has been tabled before the Parliament, at the moment it has gone to the JPC, but we wanted to tell our viewers what the process really would be for a bill like this when the government is bringing in a constitutional amendment with regard to a single election for the entire country. What kind of process needs to be followed for such a bill to be passed?
No, basically it's a constitution amendment bill. The constitution amendment bill, after it is introduced in the House, then, either they take it up for detailed consideration and passing and all that, or they refer it to a committee of the House or maybe a joint committee of both the houses. And when it is referred to a committee or committees of committee of both the houses, then the committee will examine the bill in detail. They will call witnesses who are interested in it and who have special knowledge about this whole exercise. They will come and depose before the committee, and finally, the committee will, draft the report containing recommendations. And with those recommendations, it will come back to the House. Then the House will take up different stages of consideration. The first stage is the motion for consideration. And there, since it is a constitution amendment bill, it requires special majority. Majority of the total membership of the House and majority, 2/3 of the members present and voting. These are two conditions which are required to be met.
Sir, if I may clarify, if I may ask a small clarificatory question, you say that a bill like this would require a special majority in the Parliament, which is 2/3 members present and voting. Would this also then require ratification by the state legislatures, considering this is a bill that seeks to change the electoral system in the country?
No, that depends on the amendments which are being proposed. Because in the Constitution, under Article 368, there are certain provisions which are specifically mentioned and which require ratification by the states, but not all the amendments. Very few amendments, amendments which seek to make some changes in the High Court procedure, and there are certain other things, which if amended, or if sought to be amended, require 2/3 majority. That is all. Otherwise, for other provisions, this ratification is not necessary. Only both the houses
in this particular, but in this particular case that we're seeing, the bill proposes that there needs to be changes in how the elections work, both in the House, in the Parliament, as well as the state legislative assemblies. What the bill proposes is that there has to be there will be a strict 5-year term for both the House and the state legislatures. All the elections will be conducted simultaneously, and at the same time, if any state legislature or the Parliament is dissolved, then the fresh election can be conducted, but the term of the newly constituted House will only be till the unexpired period between till that 5-year period of the House is completed. So wouldn't that then also have an impact on how the state legislatures function? Wouldn't that then require the state legislatures to also have a say?
Well, that needs to be examined because I have not seen the bill. So at the moment, I am just depending on what you are saying. But unless I see the bill and examine it in detail, I won't be able to make a comment on whether it is required to be ratified by the states or not. That is it. So without going through that, I cannot make a comment right now. Merely depending on what you are saying.
Right, sir.
That's it. I have to go through the bill.
All right, sir.
So that's it.
But if I may, I have just gone through the bill. The copy of the bill has just been shared with just a few minutes ago. So what it effectively says is that there will be a strictly defined term of the House, which will be 5 years, and there will be simultaneous elections at the center, that is the Parliament, and the state legislature level. And in case the Parliament or a state legislature is dissolved during the midterm, the remaining period till the expiry of that 5-year period will be taken as the unexpired term, and the new election that is held, that is the midterm election that is held, will only be for the House will only function for that unexpired term, and at the end of those 5-year period, fresh elections will have to be held. Effectively, what it will mean is that if a House is dissolved, say 1 year, 2 year, 3 years into its 5-year term, then the newly elected representatives will only be elected for that 2, 4, or 3-year term that is remaining for that House. So in that scenario, and I understand that you say that you haven't seen the bill and you're going by what I'm informing you right now. In such a situation, as an expert in the legal procedure, what I'm asking you is that something that falls within the constitutional definition of laws that may require ratification by the states?
Well, I will tell you what are the things which are required to be ratified by the State Assembly. Look at Article 368. It gives, it specifies the amendments which are required to be ratified. One is something about the Union Judiciary. The other is about the High Court. So that is not here. Such a thing is not here. Then, in the 7th schedule, there are 3 lists: union list, state list, and concurrent list. If any change is made or sought to be made through an amendment in any of these lists, in any of the items, in any of the lists, that requires ratification by the State Assembly, 50% of the state assemblies. Then, see, the legislative relations between center and state, that has to be seen. The legislative relations between the state and the center. If there is an amendment which seeks some change in this, then that requires amendment, ratification. Then the representation of states in parliament, for example, in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, the number of seats allotted to the states is thought to be increased or reduced. That also requires amendment, and that amendment is required to be ratified. These are the things which are required to be ratified, and no other thing. That is it. And these amendments, as you were mentioning, these amendments do not come under any of these categories. So ratification may not be necessary. That is my first view. I mean, tentative view. You can say that, unless I examine the whole bill minutely in detail. That is it. So this is my tentative view, that it is not required to be ratified by the assemblies.
Okay. So according to you, at the moment, once the JPC sends its report, what will be the process then? Is there a timeline that we can look at?
Yes, there will be a timeline fixed. You know, when the motion is moved for constituting the JPC, in fact, it is not. It is called a joint committee of both the houses. Basically, it's a select committee. A bill is sent to either. It's a select committee, basically. But under the rules, select committee, that name is given to a committee of only one house. One house. But if there are...
But this has been sent to the joint parliamentary committee.
That's what I'm saying. Normally, what we understand by JPC is a different thing. That is joint parliamentary committee looking into investigating certain things. Certain things. So that's a different function altogether. Investigating some major irregularities or scams or things like that. But here, so
in this situation,
let me complete this.
So I'm so sorry.
Yeah. In this case, it is actually examining a bill in detail and giving a report. So this committee, which is called a joint committee, it's not a JPC or anything. It is called Joint Committee of both the houses. And this committee has a different function to perform.
Okay.
Its function, its duty is to examine the bill in detail and accept amendments. Otherwise, committees do not accept amendments. So they can accept, this committee can accept amendments moved by the members.
Okay.
Otherwise, normally amendments are moved only in the House. But here, in the case of a joint committee of both the houses on a bill, can accept amendments from the members, because the minister will also be represented on this committee. Normally, that is the practice. I do not know whether they're doing it now. Normally, the minister will also be represented here, because then otherwise there is no point in moving amendments, because amendments have to be accepted by the government. So here, since the government is also represented on this committee, amendments are moved and accepted or rejected or whatever. And with that, the report goes to the House. And then the House will, of course, go through various processes, various stages of consideration. That is the consideration stage, and then the clause-by-clause consideration stage, and then finally the passing of the bill. These are three major stages through which a bill has to pass in the House. That's the thing.
Just one last question, sir. So, is there any timeline that can be defined for the joint committee to give its report, or for the matter to come back to the Parliament?
Yes, maybe 3 months, or maybe 4 months, or maybe 6 months. That they will, the House, when the motion is moved, I do not know whether the motion has been moved or referring it to the committee. But once the motion is moved, timeline is also fixed.
And after the report comes, then this bill will require a special process, that is special majority of the Parliament.
Yes. At all stages, it needs to be passed by special majority.
All right. Thank you so much for giving. Sorry, please go on, sir.
Each clause of the bill needs to be voted by special majority. That's the thing. Each clause of the bill.
So that will be 2/3 of the members present and voting, and there has to be. I beg your pardon?
See, membership, the majority of total membership of the House, that means majority of 543 members, plus 2/3 of the members present and voting. That means if all the 543 members are present to vote on this bill, that means they require 362 members to pass this bill.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for clarifying all of this in so much detail.